So this is history in the making here, Andy.
It is actually history.
10 seconds.
Really is.
And the double Andy cast is here to bring it all to you guys.
Andrew in the morning.
5
I like it.
seconds
Although we don't
remain.
have any sounds. That is one thing our... Oh, man. Well, first
It's all
bench,
right.
Shadow
Johnny
Fiend.
will be on it.
Oh, they're
All right,
both done.
Johnny's on it.
I believe in him.
So Shadow Fiend Quap, first 2 bans. Okay.
Got to ban Radiant Shadow Fiend.
Yep.
I think that's just a gimme because like every single team in the world runs Shadow Fiend. Like it's pretty much top 2, top 3 heroes picked in mid if it's available. So.
Right. Yeah, it's
Only
hard to be a
10
top tier team
seconds.
right now if you don't have a Shadow Fiend player. He is
Yeah.
he is the go-to. And there's the
Radiant's
Slardar ban
bad.
from Vici, a hero that they've been playing a lot in the off lane, and Unknown will actually let the Wisp come through with a ban on Doom.
So they take the Queen out actually.
Radiant team
That's a bit
are now
interesting.
picking.
I mean, Queen is one of those heroes that you would ban if you wanted to pick a mid that doesn't do well against Queen,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they just don't like playing against a hero in general, or they have some sort of idea of.
Who does Queen dominate in particular that's really strong on this patch that Unknown might be looking to pick?
It's all right against TA.
That was the first thing that came
Yeah,
to mind for me.
and Wind Ranger, it's like a
10
50-50.
seconds to pick.
Like probably slightly favored for the Queen for the first couple of levels, and then Wind Ranger just kind of
5
pulls ahead.
seconds. Hurry,
So
hurry.
I mean, those are the obvious ones, but it depends on what kind of strat you're
Reserve
going for
time.
here. Like Team Unknown already taking a little bit of time and deciding how they want to deal with this first pick on dying coming out of each.
Do you have any issue with Radiant TA? I mean, everyone talks
Not
about her
really.
on the Dire, but you already kind of broke down the Roshan
Yeah, it's.
stuff.
I mean, obviously it's good. It's not bad to be Dire TA because you can get to the Ancient stack, and you can also go to Roshan a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, you can still stack Ancients on Radiant. It's not like out of the question. And in reality, laning as Radiant is typically seen as a bit safer because there aren't as many ways to gank you, and getting into the jungle to stack other things besides Ancient is easier. So not as
Well,
much travel time.
Unknown open with a Gyrocopter Winter Wyvern duo. A lot of good team fight there.
Yep.
And right away, without really any hesitation, Vici say, well, we'll take that Alchemist. Thank you. And that should be your Super Alchemist just
Only
headed
10
in.
seconds.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do against this because if you look at the way that
5
Vici
seconds
bans,
remain.
like Shadow Fiend does exceptionally well against Alchemist in the middle lane. One of the few heroes who can actually
Reserve time.
deny reliably an Acid Cloud, and you get a lot of souls, and that you can deny the Alchemist farm.
Yep.
And the Slardar, also phenomenal against Alchemist because he has terrible base armor. And then Bounty Hunter can just be a huge nuisance in lane and harass and just let the mid player kind of dominate. So,
So what other tools are out there to try to deal with this Alchemist in lane?
I mean, you can pick just a decent laner in general. Like, we talked about TA, who I would say is good at killing Alchemists, but in the lane, it's a little bit more tricky because you're not really a pure
Radiant's
ranged
bad.
hero. You're more of like I get range as I get levels, but I'm not going to be able to really avoid Acid Spray. And plus, it eats through Refraction. So it's kind of like a 50-50.
Yeah. And now the Ancient Apparition ban, another great hero against the Alchemist.
They're,
of
they're
course.
just trying to set up Super to have a really easy game
10
here. And they're
seconds
doing
to
a pretty
pick.
good job of that so far.
Yeah, I mean, an Alchemist that gets a good start in a couple of those bounty
5
runes can
seconds. Hurry,
very
hurry.
quickly take over a game. You think of him as that kind of mid-game presence once he's really turbo farmed and had some space,
Reserve
but
time.
if he gets space in the lane, he can get active, pretty early on.
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes, he can be on a tirade.
I mean, it depends on what kind of build you want to go to. You want to do like the meta Radiance build with the Manta? Do you want to go for something like a Shadow Blade? It really just depends on like what kind of style Vici you want to go for here. I think the Radiance Manta is probably the way to go, especially if you consider that Vici are feeling fairly confident going up against a team that doesn't have much international like LAN experience. But for now, we're just going to see the bans kind of continue to roll out here as Rubik is taken out from Unknown. And
Rubik
already
ban,
seeing...
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised the Wisp has made it this far into the draft and been totally ignored.
Dire's turn
well, they
to
don't have any good
overwhelming
partner heroes with it yet.
choices.
Yeah.
I would think if anyone was going to pick it, actually Unknown and Vici could still both pick it at this point, because it's not bad with Gyro, and it's also something that you can partner with whatever safe lane Vici are going to be grabbing here, because they only have a support and a mid so far.
Mm-hmm.
So both teams actually still have it available.
Well, Unknown going for some big team fight presence here. They'll grab their offlaner in the Dark Seer, and you can see that combo. Some vacuum
10
wall action with a
seconds.
Winner's Curse, a call down, flak cannon. A lot of AoE team fight, but
5
as we've
seconds
seen
remain.
time and time again, Andy, easier to look at on paper and marvel at than truly executing
Reserve
game.
time.
It is true. However, this is still one of the easier things to combo, in my opinion, because Vacuum is such a large AoE, and so is Call Down, that it's kind of hard to miss.
Yeah,
Like it actually is kind of difficult to miss.
Okay. Fair
What I
enough.
would like to see is something like maybe go back for a disruptor, for example. Oh, I know what this is.
Is this?
This is the
This is the off-
Aghanims Morphling. This is the Aghanims offlane Morphling who goes Midas, and then you get the Grievel's Greed going with the Alchemist Radiance, and you just go for mass amounts of farm. I'm surprised they actually didn't ban Morphling now that I think about it.
Oh.
After I saw the opening too, I was like, wait a minute. And
So-
the other thing too is you can do double Tombstone with this. You can use the Aghanims on Undying,
Oh my.
and then if the
10
Undying
seconds to
has
pick.
Aghanims as well, you get 2 10 strength decays as well as 2 tombstones, and you
seconds.
just
Hurry,
decimate.
hurry.
Like, it is insane.
So they'll put this on Ice in the laning phase.
Nice.
Just put them off lane.
Yep,
Get some
yep.
XP, get some farm going.
I think the last
like
time
this.
they did this, he did Soul Ring Tranks Midas, and then he bought Aghanims, and then he just would replicate Super whenever he got his Radiance finished, and then he would just Rice. There's just non-stop farm.
Radiant's
That's
back.
insane, actually. I mean, an Alchemist alone is already a lot of farming power. You add that Morphling to the mix,
And I don't know if they fixed this, but the Grievel's Greed that you get from the replicate of Alchemist goes to Alchemists, not to the Morphling.
That definitely is not
Only
working as
10
intended.
seconds.
That just
I mean,
sounds
it's a
silly.
little bit weird because I think that Grievel's Greed is a unique
5
buff in the
seconds.
game,
Hurry,
where it's
hurry.
only supposed to apply to the Alchemist, so it doesn't like work properly as far as I know.
Reserve
That's
time.
really weird. One of the weird things about Grievel's Greed is that it still lets you. It doesn't. It's not affected by the
Dial's
buyback gold.
No, it is now.
It is now.
It is
They
now,
just
yeah.
changed that. Okay.
No, I think they changed it a while ago because Midas is even affected by it now too. So like when you buy back, you just get straight up 50% less gold. Pretty sure.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
I will defer to your judgment.
Maybe I
I
have
was
to
playing
host a
Alchemist
lobby
a
after
couple
this
weeks
to be
ago.
sure.
Yeah, that's what I want to double check on. But
Radiant's turn to rise
either way, it's a
from the
funky
dark.
spell. That's really,
Yes,
really the
it
point
is
I was
very
trying to make
strange.
there.
Oh, they
So-
do go for the TA.
Okay, yeah, Night Stalker TA to round out the unknown draft.
Mine.
Jakiro was the final ban from Unknown, so taking out some of the sieging presence from Vici. I mean, Jakiro Undying is still a really scary pairing if they're put in the off lane. Maybe they're misreading how this Morphling is going to be laned.
Yeah. Well, they banned it, I think, in a support capacity. Because they're
Okay.
thinking that Vici's last hero is going to be support. Like, Fenrir typically plays Undying, right?
Yes, I think so.
10
So then they have to
seconds
pick FY's hero, which is probably why they banned Rubik in the second phase. Because that was a hero that he
Oh,
typically
5
plays.
seconds
Yeah.
remain.
The Viper final ban from Vici. That was another one of the heroes that we didn't
Reserve
talk about, but
time.
obviously does very well against Alchemist in the laning phase. Does well against everybody.
Yeah, the Viper ban's a bit interesting, though, because I don't think that he's particularly good against what Vici have. Like, Juggernaut can mitigate the damage. Morph doesn't really care about Viper Strike that much. Alchemist is kind of in the same boat. The only downside is you can potentially get kited. That's
Yeah.
like the only thing. Maybe they just didn't want to have to deal with it in lane because you can just skill Corrosive, sit in Acid Spray, and Alchemist just suffers. Because every time the
Right.
acid hits him, you just get Corrosive, and it's just a nuisance.
I mean, the way they banned, as we talked about, to give Super an easy game, Viper just feels like that hero,
Crystal
the
Maiden.
only other one that really could have pressured the Alchemist. But now the Crystal Maiden comes out, and this is a great game for a CM. All of these heroes are going to benefit from that mana aura a lot.
Yeah, the synergy for the aura is definitely there. But you have to keep in mind that Unknown do have the Darkseer Night Stalker combo. That is insanely scary for any kind of squishy support. Ion Shelled Night Stalker, for a Crystal Maiden, that is a nightmare.
That's true.
It is very, very scary for him. And they also have a very well-rounded lineup, I think, on
Fine.
Unknown.
Leave.
So Vici
See
are
if I
going for
care.
their gimmick with the Replicate, Alchemist, Radiance, just try to farm up a ton of gold and then fall back onto the Juggernaut
Well,
if you
look
need
who's
to.
come crawling
Mhm.
Whereas Unknown have a more traditional team-oriented setup.
Uh-oh.
Looks like we got a couple of DCs here.
Yeah, looks like the network's going up and down, but seems like players are able to reconnect slowly but surely, so good. That'll give us some time to talk about this draft here, Andy.
There are just like musical disconnects going on right now. It is spooky.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
I mean, Unknown have picked, I would say, more standard than Vici have picked.
Absolutely.
Like with, yeah, I think there's no real question about that. It just, again, comes down to,
I just think this Alchemist is going to be unchecked for the most part. I think the first couple minutes, maybe Super could be a little slow to ramp up against the TA. And like you mentioned, TA does have some kill power against the Alchemist with his whopping 1 starting armor, but
yeah.
I mean, this should be an easy 11, 12-minute radiance, I think,
Well,
for Super, unless something really weird happens.
Most likely, I think the Wyvern's just going to go mid, and he's going to just Arctic burn.
Do you think it'll be kind of like a dual lane mid, just constant pressure?
I think so. Because if you look at Vici's lineup, who's going to sit mid? The CM is probably going to want a jungle to try to get something going for the early game, so I don't think FY is going to want to put much effort into that lane. So they're going to need an Undying to sit there, and Fenrir is not going to contribute much against a Wyvern and a TA. It's like, okay, I can maybe decay and throw out a couple of auto attacks, but that's about it.
That's true.
So between Arctic burns, I guess he can do something, but otherwise I'm assuming that Wyvern's going to be sitting there just punching Super and trying to make his life miserable.
And I suppose there is some potential for this Night Stalker, perhaps during the first night, if they could get a kill on the Alchemist. There is potential to slow the Alchemist down, now that you pointed out.
Yeah, and the snowball potential on Unknown is also massive. Like a farm Night Stalker, an early mech on the Darkseer, before that Alchemist has anything, you are not going to be able to stop these pushes very easily as Vici. Like Crystal Maiden has very limited potential if you're going to be going for like the max aura build, which is 113, and sure, spin is alright, but you're going to need more than just a Morphling with an Adaptive Strike and a Waveform to fight this off, I think.
Yeah, obviously Vici are looking towards their farming tools here, and that can backfire at times if they're too greedy early on and Unknown start very aggressive, and they will do just that. Already popping a smoke on 4 of their heroes. Looks like they'll try to bait with the Darkseer a little bit and hunt for an early first blood. Vici already with some wards down, one right here to get some intel of what's coming their way, and they will clip vision of the Darkseer. They also get a ward down mid.
Scouting him out could be actually a really good thing. It's baiting FY in right now.
Yep, FY, he's going to get caught. It looks like this will be your first blood coming out nice and easy. Gets drawn by Kataru on the Templar Assassin. First smoke yields a kill here, Draskell. Good start for Unknown. Fenrir, actually, he's going to come in here. A big decay on 4 heroes. He actually wants to fight this. He's got some backup with him. But Zetok in the front line with the Ion Shell on will feel pretty brave here, and Vici will just kind of dance around. And they won't commit to a fight as we have yet another disconnect. So, still first blood is drawn for the TA. Not a bad start.
That's pretty much the best case scenario, honestly. Like, getting to the early bottle as TA is fantastic, because that way you can use Refraction more liberally, you can harass the Alchemist and lane a little bit more. It was actually kind of funny how they placed that ward, and then the Darkseer gets scouted, and FY is like, yeah, okay, whatever. Just Darkseer coming up here. I'll just try to zone him out of the woods, you know? Prevent any potential scouting from going on, and then he just gets annihilated by 4 other heroes. Yep. That was actually quite a nice smoke.
I like the way Unknown did it. So scouting with the Darkseer first, so it wasn't obvious that it was just a 5-hero smoke. It was pretty crafty.
But under normal circumstances, if that ward's not there, it doesn't work, because they probably are just sitting together as 5, or FY is just not going that far forward.
Yeah.
Like, he only walked forward because he saw the Darkseer. Otherwise, it's just like no point in going over there.
Right. All right. 9 seconds until the first bounties come out. Will Vici be able to secure that valuable bounty rune for Super? Still has not skilled up the Grievil's Greed. But, oh man.
They'll get it. There's no way that Gyro is going to contest 1v, potentially 3, I guess, in this situation.
So it looks like still some connection issues here, Draskell.
Wouldn't be a LAN without connection issues.
That's true. It's like Unknown are losing their packets.
Well, I hope they can find them. They're kind of important if you want to play.
It's true. If only there was a LAN setting.
As someone who has played with mass packet loss, it is the most frustrating thing in the world. Back when I was at home in the US, my internet service, I was getting like
on that HughesNet
50% packet loss or something like that.
50%.
So like basically 1 every 3 mouse clicks wouldn't register when I was playing Dota.
That's unbearable.
It just feels awful.
You sort of feel like your computer has a mind of its own. Like it's picking and choosing what keystrokes and clicks it wants to register.
Yeah, it was actually one of the most frustrating experiences ever. So I don't blame it for pausing. I would absolutely not want to play under these circumstances.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, if you're in an online match, sometimes it's easier to say, okay, the connection issues are on you. Maybe you're having like, you know, there's nothing we can do about it. But this is a completely different scenario, and you're absolutely, man. For Unknown, there's a lot on the line here.
They gotta make a name for themselves so that they can rename themselves from Unknown to something else.
That's true, yeah. I don't think it's unreasonable to wait until they get their connection up to where it wants to be.
Rename their team to Known if they beat Vici? Like, you just take the Un part off?
Hey guys, we're Team Known. Yep.
Well, they definitely are already a lot more popular just from having been at the Major in the first place.
Oh, yeah. National pride, man.
Once again.
So, okay, we will
games.
try to resume once more here. And down bottom, Super will be able to grab this bounty, and Fenrir gonna bully out the gyrocopter, and up top it will be the Templar Assassin to grab that other bounty. So, plenty of gold for her. She's got a salve that's gonna be run out on this cute little Grievel here.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff all around. But getting the first blood puts him way, way closer to the bottle. And as expected, Excel is kind of in the area. Or Hatsune Miku, as I'm sure that's actually what his name is. But
Some anime fans
or is it
here.
actually Excel? I think it was Excel.
No, it's Excel. Yep, his name's Excel. I don't know what the tail part of the name is. So, alright, gyrocopter being the safe lane. Ice, 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 as we predicted, will be on the Morphling off lane, and Fenrir will just rotate down and start to bully out this gyro a little bit. This could be a rough lane for the gyrocopter. We'll have some support on the way from the Winter Wyvern, but I feel like Excel is just going to have to constantly be ping-ponging to this bottom lane to make space for the gyro, as well as moving mid lane to try and pressure that Alchemist.
I think securing the farm for the gyrocopter is probably a little bit more important than dealing with the Alk right now. Like, TA in lane shouldn't have a ton of problems with Alk. Really, the problem stems from Acid Spray. But if you're just a little bit patient with it and you don't get too over-aggressive, it should be fine. And if he wants to win the lane even harder, he can even opt to skill a couple of points into Meld. Because every time the Alchemist goes up for a CS, you can meld him, and since he has very low base armor, it hits extremely hard, even at like levels 1 to 2. Yeah. And he even gets a point into it right now.
Wow,
so.
He's going to go really aggressive here. He pops the salve, goes into the refraction, and Super still getting some okay farm, but being pressured quite hard. And TA is one hero that can actually deal with the Acid Spray pretty well, has pretty decent starting armor. Checking out the top lane, though. Looks like Unknown is still staying pretty aggressive here. You talked about this duo, the Darkseer Night Stalker, and you can see the defensive posture here from FY.
Yeah, FY is the one they have to go on, because you can't kill Burning in this lane. As soon as you go on him, he'll just pop spin and walk it off, and there's not really much you can do. Because they're so reliant on magical damage, Juggernaut is a really good pick at preventing pressure. The first night is probably going to be when we're going to see that Night Stalker Z-Talk actually make something happen here, but for the early game, I think that they're actually doing quite well in lanes. Like, Super is getting wrecked mid right now.
Yeah, 14-6 on the TA. He's only 6-0 in terms of last hits. That is a little bit rough. Fenrir will actually rotate up this way after picking up the Bounty Rune to try and give him some support. Kataru playing this very well, though.
And he is actually getting destroyed. That is insane. 15-8 at 230.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Is he actually dead?
It could be Kataru on his way in, but Fenrir, he'll bully him back, hits him with the Decay. And that'll be the end of it for now. Back in the top lane, Burning getting pressured here. What is the Juggernaut build these days, Andy? Is it all about that Blade Fury? I feel like we've just increasingly seen this build become more prominent.
Yeah, people are even going as far as to only getting 1 point into Blade Dance nowadays. So they get the 1 value point, right, for 20% crit. And then they max Blade Fury, and then they put a couple of points into Healing Ward and stats. Like, I think in this lane, you definitely need an earlier point into Healing Ward than normal.
Yeah.
But it also depends on what kind of build he goes. Like, if he goes the normal build with Phase, you actually need more points into stats to use Healing Ward, so he'll probably only get 1.
Well, here we go. Burning will get a little aggressive here, pops the Blade Fury, but Greedy will be able to just give himself the surge, head back to safety. They pressure FY, but no kill will come about. It's interesting how both teams in this top lane have what you would normally call a lane that has a lot of kill power, but it's pretty much a wash because the Juggernaut doesn't really care so much about all that magic damage, and, well, the other way around, they're pretty immune to the slow from Crystal Maiden. They're never going to get caught by that Blade Fury because, well, they've got Surge, so...
And it's nighttime in 20 seconds, and this Night Stalker is,
Dude, he's gearing up. He's already rotating mid.
Yeah.
They want to go for this out.
If they void Super like 1 time, I think he just dies, because this TA is 3 points in a melt at level 5. This is actually...
This is the kill build.
This is a heavy commitment, though, because normally you see like 2-2-1. It's like 2 refraction, 2 meld, 1 side blades. This pretty much means his farming rate is going to be a little bit like slowed, because you actually need refraction to kill stacks, and meld is not nearly as good for farming as it is for just the sheer lane dominance, which the guy is 30-12.
I mean, he's making up for it right now.
Actually crushing this lane super hard right now.
And it's not even just this lane. I mean, Unknown are dominating all of the lanes. They've got a nice little lead to themselves, about 1k gold, 1k experience already. And we see Kotaku going very aggressive onto Fenrir. A Soul Rip will come out, but Kataru, he's committed to this. Now Super could turn, throws out the Unstable Concoction. Does he have the damage to find the kill, though? It doesn't look like it. One more punch. He'll sip the bottle and turn. Now Super, he has to head back to his tower. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, some more aggression coming out. Burning, getting low, but they'll go on to Z-Talk. The freeze from FY will lock him in place, and now Burning will head back to safety. So Vici will find a kill up in the top lane, FY finding credit for it.
Well, thankfully, the TA is winning his lane 2v1, so that one death top is a little bit unfortunate. They didn't manage to get Burning for the Night Stalker trade, but they're still pressuring the lane pretty well. The Darkseer is still leading farm over the Juggernaut, so that's alright. And they did eventually make Burning put a point into that healing ward, so... I mean, all things considered, it's not going bad.
One hero we haven't checked in on recently is this Morphling in the offlane. Ice definitely struggling a little bit. He's got his Tranks up, holding on to that Mango for now, but... Well, he's not finding too much farm, but he's level 5. In the offlane Morphling, that is half the battle. No points in the adaptive strike, though. Actually going for a maxed out waveform.
I think he realizes that in this lane, it's not really going to be super useful to have a point into adaptive strike this early. And plus you're playing against TA, so Morphling in general, as this build, you're not really going to break through refraction too reliably. You're going to need Juggernaut spin or something like that to really deal damage to him. So it's not like you're going to be ganking that. I suppose best case scenario, you stop like a Night Stalker or a Darkseer from ganking, you know, like you surge in or you get an adaptive strike on him while he's surged. That's probably the best case scenario for you. Yeah,
Super gets a little bit lucky here at 6 minutes. He finds the bounty rune, and he will ding level 6. So now this gets easier, and perfect timing as Z-Talk wraps around the tier 1 tower. Garo doing a lot of damage here, but they can't finish him off. FY will rotate in, and they will keep him alive. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, they dive the Gyrocopter. Ice as well as Fenrir find a kill, and now they find Excel. He'll use the Arctic Burn to try and fly over the trees. Ice taking a lot of damage, but they can't quite finish him off. Out comes the Morph to Strength, and they will find the second kill. It's a double for Ice. He'll try to TP home. Z-Talk coming in, but just barely gets the kill.
He died in the well.
He actually dies in the well, yeah. Doesn't get much closer than that, Draskell.
This Undying should also be dead as well, I think.
They'll try to TP out. No way to stop. Oh, they've got it. Yep, there it is. They find him. Thought he was going to be able to make it out.
Max melt.
Oh, and now back towards the mid lane. Super taking a lot of damage from the Gyrocopter. We'll be able to use the Chemical Rage. Is it enough to stay alive? Just barely jukes and jives into the trees. And the Rocket Barrage won't be able to finish him off. Now FY comes in for the turn, but he'll pop his stick charges. He stays alive as now Z-Talk goes on the aggressive. It's a back and forth in the mid, but FY will be the one to fall. Now Z-Talk will just try to make the great escape. Super hits him with a level 1 unstable concoction. Pretty small stun duration, but there's support inbound. It's the Juggernaut. He's going to try and cut him off here. Burning joining the party, but it is still nighttime, so Z-Talk with his phase boots, quite speedy. Burning going to try to cut him off.
Now he knows. He's got that sixth sense, man. The Night Stalker sense.
Oh, when he sees this stack, yeah, he's going to suicide.
Okay. I like this. This is good.
Yep, buys his items before he goes down. Very smart. Also gets the intel on the stack.
Unknown are definitely applying the pressure early game to Vici here.
This is about 2,500 net worth lead. Not bad.
I'm just like amazed that the TA farms so well with this build. Like, sure, the whole point of getting Mel's in the lane is so you can push the Alchemist back and like try to continue to get the farm.
Right.
But now he needs to make a transition. This is the part about maxing Meld that makes this build difficult to execute, is after your laning phase starts to break down.
Right.
Because you're not going to have the max point into Refraction to be able to farm reliably. You only have 3 instances of it now at level 8. He's going to get the second point in now. Only 1 point into Sideblades means it's much harder for you to reliably get melds off, so you have to be like right on them to make sure that you're going to be getting that damage. And I suppose with a Surge and a Night Stalker walking around, it shouldn't be too difficult.
He did get 2 kills, or pardon me, 3 kills. He's 3-0-0 right now with this Meld Strike build, so it seems like it has been worth it. But meanwhile, in the Dire jungle, Super, he's going to take out this big stack. Of course, Vici know it's been scouted, so I like the timing here to try and finish it off. Out comes the Chemical Rage. He'll have another Acid Spray, and we'll see Super's farm here really jump up. Yeah, he could be in some trouble as well. There's your Omni Slash coming from Burning. He'll pop into a Blade Fury and chase him down. It is daytime, so nothing Z-Talk can do. Greedy, though, he's coming in, trying to find FY. Moving around in the trees. Burning will just TP out. FY lacking a TP scroll. Puts out a Frostbite, but he is in no man's land here. There's nowhere to go, and he'll just turn and do what little he can before biting the bullet.
He just gave up.
Stand to his death.
He's just sitting there like, yep, I am not making out of this one.
Yeah, well, they trade 1 for 1. Night Stalker for CM. Still get a kill for Burning, so not too bad here for Vici. And of course, it does make space to make sure Super won't be contested in taking out his stacks, even though it has been scouted by the TA with that trap down.
Yeah, I mean, this is just giving him a ton of time, which is all he really needs.
Mid lane, Fenrir getting dove. That Meld Strike just doing so much damage. My gosh. There was an Undying there.
Yeah, this TA is going to be a little bit of a problem. For sure.
Yeah.
And TA also is a very interesting matchup against Juggernaut because in the early game, Blade Fury can be a great way of dealing with refraction, but when the TA eventually gets to BKB, then you don't have a good way of breaking through refraction anymore, and you can't really use Omni on a refracted TA because it just gets completely eaten.
Does nothing. Yeah.
There is a point in the game where the TA will become very, very tough to deal with, and it could be a lot sooner than maybe Vici had wanted.
Well, a little stroke of luck here for Kataro. He gets a double damage rune. Actually won't even use it to clear out this stack, though. Would make his life a little easier. It's a nice triple stack here of Ancients for him.
He's pulling it the opposite direction that you normally see TAs pull it. Because you typically don't want to pull it towards the river because the enemy team can potentially see you. I mean, they got a ward there anyway, so...
Well, meanwhile, in the Radiant jungle, Gyrocopter, he's in a sticky wicket, a 1v3. Set up an easy kill here. Ice will get credit for that one.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. I would like to see Unknown start the 5-man as soon as the mech is done.
Mid lane, committing on to Super here, but a big rotation from Vici, actually moving 4 heroes here. They will support Super and maybe try to find a pick off. Kataru will have to run Kataro. I keep wanting to think there's a U at the end of that name, but it is indeed an O. Now they're going to intercept this stack, though, and this is kind of what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they had the war there the whole time, so they definitely knew it was going down. They're even going to commit Tombstone to this, so they really want this.
I mean, there's a lot of low health Ancients here. I think it makes some sense. Ice will go on the front lines, but he gets silenced by Z-Talk. Not to worry.
That's actually 5 heroes. You need your Gyrocopter as well to be here if you want to try to contest this, and he's bottom.
Yeah. No, Vici will get it. And things have definitely plateaued a little bit here in terms of the gold lead that Unknown picked up early on in this game. Very minor lead at this point. Alchemist starting to get some momentum, now number 1 on net worth. Gyro, what's he working on here? His build's kind of all over the place. Looks like going for an early Helm of the Dominator, then probably into S and Y with that Elven Band.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. It's the standard Gyrocopter build, pretty much.
Oh, and up top, Greedy caught by Burning. That'll be a solo kill to the Juggernaut. Missed the beginning of that one, but...
he got Omni'd in then.
Okay, yeah. It's the only way that Burning's going to get a solo kill there, I guess.
Yeah, just really good the timing from Burning, realizing the creep wave wasn't going to be there until a little bit after the Omni ended, so...
Just completed his drums as well, so using that first charge for an additional burst of movement speed. Now it's Unknown that want to contest the jungle. They have a little bit of vision in here. They know that the Alchemist is farming, but... Super will be a step ahead. He retreats before they can really intercept. And no kill will come out there. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Ice with a haste rune. Pressuring the Gyrocopter. Will get a TP reaction. And right back mid, Z-Talk. He's going to dive between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers. Fenrir takes a silence. But support is inbound. And he'll be just fine as well. Unknown really want to be aggressive here in this night cycle, but having trouble finding the openings.
I think the biggest issue, again, is you need to make sure that Greedy gets to his mech. Like, you want the mech on the Darkseer, start bringing your Gyrocopter team fights. Like, Kutaro's been the one who is mostly the aggressive player on the team so far. Like, sure, the Night Stalker has gone around a bit, Z-Talk's been trying to do what he can, but as soon as the mech is up, you can fight around cooldown. You have your Winter's Curse available already on Excel. It's not that late.
He's just a couple hundred gold away. Super takes a Meld Strike in the mid. It'll dip him down past half HP, but there are a lot of heroes ready to support, and nothing the TA can do but head back to her side of the hill. All right.
If you're Vici right now and you're sitting relative terms of net worth to Unknown, you're feeling pretty happy with yourself. Like, you are the team who is supposed to get pressured early with this kind of a lineup because it is fairly greedy by nature. So Unknown need to try to get some objectives from this.
Oh, Ice mid. Does wait for him back, but now caught by a silence. Call down as well as Winter's Curse comes out. They drop the Soul Rip, but it's not enough to keep him alive. They will lose their Morphling. He has picked up his Midas recipe, though. So all things considered, this offlane Morphling still farming reasonably well. Still a good kill for Unknown here in the mid, and they may just try to pressure this tower. Darkseer, 1 creep kill away from that mech. This is the 5-man time.
Yeah, they know that they actually need to try to deal some real damage. Like, getting kills in the early game is great. Out-farming in the lanes is also great, but you've got to start to establish some kind of map control. Like, you don't pick Night Stalker and 5-man Wombo combo teams to just sit back and let an Alchemist and a Juggernaut farm their way to victory. Like, you need to try to pressure.
Yeah, I also like the warding here from Vici. They've got this observer up on the high ground to look at the Ancients, and they've also blocked out the Ancients, so limiting the places where this TA can find some extra farm at this point.
Yeah.
Z-Talk, though, pressuring Super. He'll channel the Unstable Concoction. Gonna have to throw up pretty soon as he's dipping low. There's a lot of support from both teams coming in, but Super, he stuns himself. Oh my, Z-Talk gets the kill. Nice Cold Embrace will keep him alive through the Omni Slash from Burning. Well, for a couple of seconds at least, but then they finish him off. Crystal Maiden gets credit for that one. Now they find the gyrocopter. He was clipped by the Frost Nova. They won't commit for it, even though the Tombstone is down. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Ice. King's out of tower. He'll clear out a creep wave and start to pressure this lane. Taro, oh my, he is in deep. He's got the invisibility rune on.
Here. There's no TP on burning. He starts killing creeps, he might actually just die.
Goes for the baby mud golems. I'm not gonna find the
burning
opening.
has got like some
Next level game sense here.
He just like randomly turns around to pull a golem out of the camp. Like, how weird is that?
Yeah.
Alright, it's gonna be enough to make Taro decide against going for that kill, but
keeps him alive.
Yeah, the Alk didn't throw the stun because he was crippling feared, so he couldn't throw the
Oh, he was silenced.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Z-Talk went in and threw a fear on him, so he couldn't do anything.
Good timing. Yeah, I didn't catch the silence there. Good call, Draskell. But now we've got a relic up on the Alchemist, so super. Definitely a delayed Radiance timing. Looking at just shy of 16 minutes. Not bad, but not
delayed,
ideal.
But it's like, it's still pretty good.
It's still good, yeah.
If you consider how far ahead the TA was in the laning phase, Super has completely recovered that difference in less than 10 minutes. So that's why I was emphasizing the importance of Unknown trying to push and get some objectives going, because if you let Super have that space, even if the Juggernaut isn't farming that much, you can always just fall back on your Alchemist split pushing and delaying the game for almost an indefinite amount of time, just because of how fast the hero gets items in general. It's basically like a Naga Siren on steroids, because you just farm that much better in the early game.
Yep, and you've got that added benefit of the buffed up bounty runes. Looking at this net worth lead, it's Unknown still with a very minor lead of about 1,000. This is where Vici will start to turn up the aggression. They pop the smoke in their jungle, and now they're going to head forward. They get an Observer Ward down. They find Z-Talk. The Adaptive Strike connects. Super gets close to a full duration, unstable concoction off, but the reinforcements have arrived. They go right on to Ice. He's taking a lot of damage. Will pull the damage away from his team. FY with a freezing field, doing some decent damage here. So it'll get a full channel. Now the Winter's Curse comes out onto Super. Unknown running out of resources, but they get the second kill. It's a 2-for-0 so far. Burning trying to solo Kataro off to the side. Meanwhile, Fenrir left to his own devices. This is a huge fight for Unknown. It's a 4-for-0 all of a sudden. Super just headed for the hills, and they're going to dive him here. Kataru has a Meld Strike, connects. Super will fall. A 5-for-0 exchange as Unknown get the better of Vici Gaming. My gosh, Draskell, it's exactly what they needed.
That's actually nuts. So a couple of things happened in that team fight for Vici that really made it unfavorable. First, they smoke into a team that like clearly has better team fight at this stage in the game. It's not even close.
And just the mech versus no mech advantage.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. Like, they had to have known that Greedy had mech at that point in the game, and they smoke in very aggressively, maybe hoping to try to catch them off guard and not run into their whole team. But unfortunately, the positioning was perfect for them. Burning goes for an Omni on Kotaro here. We are going to see Roshan fall in favor of Team Unknown, by the way.
Power of the TA, baby.
TA, yeah.
Very nice.
But like, he Omnis the TA melts, there's no detection down, because FY and Fenrir are pretty much on the other side of the team fight. The ulti coming in from the Crystal Maiden didn't really deal any damage at all, and Ice dies at the start of the fight before he really does much of anything.
Yeah.
So you're down a hero, you're fighting into mech when you don't have mech, you have an Alchemist with a naked Radiance and brown boots. Like, I use the word optimistic a lot, but that really was.
Yeah, I mean, just look at this gold graph now. It went from a pretty even game to a 7,500 net worth lead here for Unknown, about 5k experience. That was absolutely massive.
So Vici can still go for the long game here if they really want to, and stop trying to take straight up engagements, which at this point, I think they could go for another smoke if they wanted to, but I think it's extremely risky, given that the first one was pretty much a catastrophe. But if you want to go back and just let Super continue to farm and try to delay the game with the Manta style and potentially the Octarine core after that, I think that would be a safer method for now.
Definitely feels like the play. I mean, both teams here getting some core items up. Gyrocopter will probably have enough for his S&Y after taking out this Ancient stack. Nice triple stack here for him. Dire have not been stacking their Ancients at all. They've been much more concerned about their jungle, where still some stacking is going about. Super just farming away, still sitting on his brown boots. So I think they'll be quiet for at least the next 5 minutes or so. Let Super get another item. He is level 11 now, so Chemical Rage is that much stronger. And he will continue to ramp up. Ice with the Midas complete. He's got the point booster, so it won't be too long now before that Aghanim Scepter comes out.
And that's going to be when the clock kind of starts, I think, for Unknown.
Desolator up on TA though here, Draskell.
Dude, he's monstrously farmed. Like,
this is scary. He also has a Yasha. Oh my.
Yeah, that was the build that he went. This is a little bit of an older take on the TA build. Back when people used to go for just sheer mobility.
Yep. Oh, down bottom. Yeah, we're going to see a tower exchange. Tier 1 for Tier 1, but Z-Talk will get dove behind it. And not going to be able to get away. Will force Burning to use that Omni Slash. So was dead anyway. Force an ultimate. Nice juking and jiving there around the trees, though it did...
we call that space.
Nighttime. Yeah, exactly.
It's like 8th Omni space. It's fine.
Very nice. Yeah, and there's that SNY up on the gyro. Yeah, this is the heavy movement speed TA with Yasha drums and phase boots.
Yeah, I like it. When you're playing against a team that you don't really want to buy Blink against, which I feel is a pretty fair call, against like Blade Fury, CMLT, and then Acid Spray, which all eat through your refraction fairly quick.
Yep.
You just want to be able to run people down, hit them with a meld or two, and then just get the kill. Because realistically, the only person on Vici who has an escape mechanism is Ice Ice Ice. He can waveform, and that's it. Like, no one else has that I can run away, like, leap or blink capability.
Uh-oh, Gyrocopter down bottom. He finds Burning as well as FY. They know Burning doesn't have an Omni, and they want the easy kill on CM. Vacuum from Greedy will interrupt the TP. And they get a nice easy pick on the support down bottom. Nice rotation. About half damage comes out onto that Tier 2 tower, and they will start to counter-push themselves. So the creep wave still being intercepted here, so...
I mean,
I'm not really sure...
I don't really think you can contest Unknown in a 5 versus 5 scenario right now. Like, Burning needs more items. The TA will potentially either go for... I don't think Manta is really that useful here. He probably goes SNY BKB. That's my assumption. And he has another double damage. Wow. So for the next team fight, Vici need to avoid that. You do not want to fight into 2 live TA with DD. That is probably the least winnable fight I think that they can take at this stage. But, again, they can let Super just continue to do what he's doing. He's already up to 2,000 gold after having finished bots. Like, this guy is basically printing money. The TA...
Ice, 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 walk into the danger zone. They start to stack that Wombo combo. He waveforms away and just barely lives. He'll hop to the replicant in the mid lane. He TP's home.
All right.
Wow. That was a winner's curse as well as a call down committed for that, and they still couldn't find the kill.
Well, I think that just goes to show how little damage they do without the TA in the area.
Yeah.
Like, if he was there, that definitely would have been a kill. Like, not even a question. I'm kind of just wondering, in regards to the TA, what the next item choice is going to be. Does he decide to finish the SNY? Does he want to go for a BKB a bit early? Because if you look at his inventory, a lot of the stuff that he buys is very cost efficient, but it's not inventory efficient, as in you're filling up your inventory very quickly. So you need to make the decision of, do I want to try to go for all mid-game items, or do I want to actually go back for a BKB? Do I want to try to go high ground in the next 10 minutes? Because I think that's probably the best shot that Unknown have of winning.
Yeah, they get that tier 2 tower kill in the mid lanes. No, the Aegis just expires at the inventory, so Kataru needs to be a little careful here. He will back up. He has a haste rune in the bottle, so he will head back to safety. But they will kill this replicated alchemist here. Or, well, just about. Can they actually bring him down? He gets caught by the adaptive. Big call down. Kataru's very low. The cold embrace not going to be enough to save him. They will get a counter kill on the Undying as this fight starts to break out. Burning, going aggressive on the Greedy. Burns the Omni Slash. Almost gets a kill on the Dark Seer and will finish him off with one more auto attack. 2 for 1 with Vici finding the advantage. And they're looking for more. Z-Talk in the tree line. Will go undetected, at least for now. They're pinging him out. They know he's in there. Can they find him, though? He doesn't have a TP scroll, and as long as they can find him, he should die. They're just going to burn him down with the Radiance. They're going to be here a while. There they go. They finally get the vision. Frostbite. Blade Fury. He's going down. 3 for 1. Vici, take a good fight.
Now that's a really big fight, because Unknown need to be the team trying to breach high ground in the next probably 10 minutes, maybe 15, if they can maintain map control and try to C8 Vici. But even in all the fights where they've been winning and they've been trying to push towers and establish that map control, Vici have still been finding their farm. It's not like they're keeping the Juggernaut and the Alchemist down that much. They're still getting a decent amount. So it's starting to become a little bit worrisome if Unknown can try to seal the game. Because even as far as the draft goes, it's just fairly obvious that Unknown want to try to push. They want to try to fight as 5.
Yeah.
They're going to catch Burning with a snare here. But I don't think they can kill him, actually.
Oh, now the turn back onto Greedy. The Replicated Alchemist on his way in with some additional Radiance Burn. They really want to kill this Dark Troll Summoner, but all that extra HP is making him rather beefy. The Replicate's just going to chase him down. Nope. Okay. This is so annoying. It really is.
Tanky illusions, man.
Oh my. The Aghanim Scepter is out on Ice 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 though, so this is where that crazy power farm starts to begin, and they can really set their sights towards the late game. I mean, let's look at the goal graph. All that momentum from Unknown has been completely mitigated now after just one failed fight and all this farming.
Alchemist with Morphling is actually just disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
You get so much money.
And Super is almost at his Manta now. He already has the Yasha. So, wait, does he have it? He has it completed on the courier. He had the recipe already.
So in 5 minutes, Super goes from being about 1,500 net worth below the TA to almost 1,500 net worth higher than the TA.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
I don't really know how you're supposed to be able to keep up with this level of farm. It's getting really worrisome for Unknown. Like,
yeah,
they really got to try to finish the game.
Well, a BKB comes out in the Gyrocopter. Perfect timing for it because Burning has just picked up his Diffusal Blade to go with his Manta. A lot of synergy with this build. And of course, Diffusal was buffed pretty recently, so now this Jug can chase down pretty much anyone as long as he has charges left on that Diffusal.
Yeah, the big thing too is the Surge from the Darkseer. You're not going to really be able to get yourself out of fights. He's going to have multiple avenues of getting rid of silence. He can even purge his own teammates if he wants to.
Yep.
So if he wants to get rid of Crippling Fear on Ice 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 or...
A lot of utility here. Down bottom, Z-Talk caught by a Frostbite. F-Wild just burned the ultimate. Super using the BOTs. Walks in, secures an easy kill on the Night Stalker. He'll be in the grave for 40 seconds. And now Vici assemble his 5 as they move towards this bottom tier 2 tower. Yeah. Nice Manta dodge there on the adaptive.
I don't know if I like just that he finished that Manta.
Hanging out with his Soul Ring on the ground. I like it.
He always does that.
Yeah. Not sold on the Manta?
Yeah, for the TA, I feel like BKB is just a better item. Because if you think about it, you're spending 3,000 gold, 10 stats, and the ability to dispel what? Like, you can Manta dodge and Adaptive Strike, I guess, but if you have a BKB, you don't need to Manta dodge it because you're just magic immune.
Yeah.
It's still the point in the game where magic is enough of a reason for you to warrant buying BKB, especially because it's a 10-second BKB with a team fight that you know you need to win. Like, the next fight is Roshan. So if you want to try to take Roshan away from Vici, which I think if they don't, Vici should just have the advantage from then on out, if they don't already. Like, you need the 10-second BKB to just make your team fight as strong as it can possibly be, because that is what your team is built to do.
Yeah. Well, they still have the 10-second BKB on the Gyrocopter. They will smoke into the Roshan pit. Of course, with the TA Desolator up, they can kill Rosh very quickly. But Vici are in the neighborhood. They're going to scout this out, and they've got an Alchemist Replicate on the way in. They'll channel up a stun. He stuns himself, unfortunately, but they just need to make some space here. Rosh down to about half HP. We take a look at the dire vision. They don't have confirmation that they're in the pit. So of course, they did smoke in. Vici just going to hand this one over here, Draskell? It looks like it.
I mean, I think they don't really feel like they need to take the risk.
True.
Like, if you think about it, how are Unknowns supposed to go high ground, right? They need to win a team fight very decisively. Like, they need to team wipe you completely. People have to not have buybacks on top of it. And for now, the Juggernaut, Alchemist, Morphling, and the CM all have buybacks. So even in the scenario that Unknown commit really hard to a high ground push and actually deal some significant damage to at least heroes, they're going to have 4 buybacks. And if you don't end the game right then and there, or at least take a set of racks, Vici are going to be fine with it. Because committing the buyback, sure, you're going to farm a little bit less, but you know in the long run, you're supposed to be taking it to the late game anyway.
Right.
So I'm thinking that Vici are still feeling alright, even though this Aegis could be one of the only chances that Unknown has to really kind of seal this game.
Yeah. I mean, Aghanim has just now come out on the Night Stalker. Blink Dagger also up on the Darkseer. I mean, this still feels like a pretty good time to try and make something happen in this 5-man death ball. Also, Blink Dagger on the Winter Wyvern. This is it, man.
They
the stars of
definitely
the
can
line.
still do it. It's just... can't stress how important it is for them to actually just try to fight. Like, push into the tier 2 top, push into the tier 2 bottom. Wherever you need to go, you just need to go. It gets really, really stressful at this point in the game when you don't have the team who has better late game. especially up against heroes like Alchemist.
Yeah.
Because Alchemist just makes it such a nightmare to try to finish.
I like this build, this slight tweak here coming out from Super. He's, of course, going for the Octarine Core, has the Soul Booster up, but he stopped off for the Plate Mail just for a straight 10 armor. And
dude, even Ice has one. He's going Lotus.
It makes such a difference.
I really like the fact that he did that, too. Because some people opt to go for like Heart, for example, but this will most likely just end up being an AC.
Yep.
And it still gives it to the illusions anyway. Like the aura follows them around, so you're going to be pushing a little bit faster.
Yeah.
On top of the additional armor that you're going to have just surviving Kataro here.
I thought when you mentioned the Lotus, I thought Ice was working on it. He has a completed Lotus Orb here. It'd be pretty big, but here we go. Unknown starting to siege the high ground. Kataru will pop the Manta straight away, and they will just back up.
I gotta say, out of everyone on this team, Kotaro has really impressed me with his performance. Like, in the team fights, he played very well. In lane, he dominated. It was so convincing. And
really
sure,
impressive.
He went a little bit of a hyper-aggressive style where he max meld. Did work for the purpose, I think, that it was meant to.
Yeah.
If they end up going super late, I think Vici will probably just win based on lineup. But they do have a gyro. So it's not all...
Well, now it's Vici that choose to get aggressive here. Burning just recently picked up this Blink Dagger. He's ready to try to find someone to initiate on, also level 17, so that Omni Slash is maxed out. They find Kataro. Oh no, that's a wasted Aegis.
They gotta get to him fast. They let him die here. It's real bad.
And they still have an Omni Slash as well. They were able to kill him just straight up. He pops the Manta, but it's not enough. TA will fall, and oh no, they're gonna find the Winter Wyvern as well. Cold Embrace will buy him a little bit of time, but that's all. He'll go down as soon as the Ice Cube expires. It's a quick 2-0. Vici, of course, finding the advantage there, and now Unknown up against the ropes. Oh, they're going to find one more Gyrocopter in the jungle. That's a 10-second BKB, but Burning, he's ready and waiting to pull the trigger on that Omni Slash. Another easy kill here for the Dire side. Burning getting 500 gold for that pickoff.
That's one of the big reasons why Juggernaut's so good against Gyro in general. Ice really wanted that Adaptive Strike there. Not going to be able to find it, so Greedy will be able to get himself to safety. But Juggernaut matches up well against Gyro just because of when you're in isolated situations like that.
Yep.
If you eat a full Omni and the Juggernaut has even relative levels of farm to you and you don't have like Butterfly or something, you're gonna get it right. Yeah, it's just not a very nice time. So,
and now the Octarine Core comes out on the Alchemist. So this is when you get into that 100% uptime Manta Illusion scenario, and he is in full Naga Siren mode.
I mean, honestly, we haven't even seen like a double tombstone or anything like that. This is just Vici Gaming playing a comeback kind of style here. Because in the early game and even the first real big team fight that broke out, it was still heavily favoring Unknown. I think this is just overall experience and just poise that has put Vici in this position. They understand that all they really need to do is delay the game just enough to get super to his core items, which now that he's hit, the game just got real hard for Unknown.
Yeah, I mean, you called this Morphling build, and early on, Ice didn't have a huge presence, but now he's actually pretty farmed. You look at him compared to the Darkseer, and he's got a nice little lead there, and going for these utility items has really made a difference. Up top, Darkseer gets soloed by the Juggernaut. Things are falling apart here for Unknown. After such a strong start, this game is beginning to unravel. Still another 4.5 minutes till Roche comes up. I feel like that is really their only hope at this point. Get third Roche, Aegis Cheese, and then take a good team fight.
The problem is, I don't know if they're even going to be able to do Roche anymore. Because the last time they did it, I think Vici were still kind of considering contesting, but then just said, you know what, it probably doesn't matter because it's still going to be really hard for them to go high ground. So we can just rely on buybacks instead of committing to a fight that we could potentially lose. And then that puts us in a position where if they fight us in our base and we have to buy back for that fight when they have Aegis, we could potentially lose there. But if we just play it safe, let them get it, wait for an opportunity to go for a pick, which they happen to find on the Aegis carrier, then we're in a fantastic spot. So now Vici, their only condition in which they lose the game is they get wiped, don't have any buybacks, and then Unknown walk into their base and kill buildings. Like, that seems extremely unlikely at this point.
Yeah. Well, now the BKB does come out on the Templar Assassin. As you were talking about before, not really the ideal timing. If they had it in that last engagement when he had the Aegis, maybe could have made the difference to stay alive.
He had the money for BKB as well, if he didn't buy Manta.
Yeah. Well, now they'll smoke is 5, move towards the Roche pit. they can catch anyone out here. Haystroon could be picked up. Uh-oh, smoke on smoke action as Vici used one of their own. It'll get broken straight away. Ice goes in aggressive, puts the Lotus Orb on himself. Just says, focus on me, guys. Now on the backside, there's that Wombo combo. Vacuum into wall, into fall down, and Winner's Curse. Vici taking a lot of damage. They'll lose the Undying first. Turning this Omni flashing around, and they will turn it around onto the Night Stalker. Only a 1-for-1 to get things started. Not so bad for Vici after all. Ice still alive on the back lines. Throws an adaptive out onto Greedy. He'll waveform across the trees. He'll stay alive for now. Super in the front line, doing a lot of damage. They isolate the TA and they'll bring her down. This is Vici's fight to take. They find the DS. And a vacuum will not be enough to keep him alive. That Frostbite locks him in place long enough to make it a 1-for-3. As meanwhile, at the tier 3 tower in the bottom lane, Super and Ice isolate the Gyrocopter. They'll bring him down as well. Well, a noble effort from Unknown there, but just not enough, Drastic.
Yeah, I think this is probably this Rax. They're gonna pop Flip. The only buyback they had was on Greedy. For now, it seems like Vici are in a pretty good position to take this game number 1.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like it.
I gotta say though, like Unknown, they definitely showed that they can hang. You know, they can definitely play this early aggressive style. I think, honestly, a lot of the South American teams play hyper-aggressive, so this patch might suit them a bit. It's Ice and just casually walking towards the enemy well.
Just trying to zone them out here, make a little bit of space. This will be 2 lanes of barracks secured here for Vici Gaming, and now it seems like the ability for Unknown to come back is just not there. Gyro going to be in the grave for another 20 seconds, and this should be mega.
Alright,
there it is. GG.
Well, a valiant effort from Unknown in game number 1.
Absolutely.
I think they really just needed to focus on just go fight. Like, just go. Against this kind of lineup with Alchemist, you just can't let it go late. Because here's what ends up happening. Your TA, who had a phenomenal start, he goes for all mid-game items. We talked about it at like the 20-25 minute mark. It's like, look, you bought a Yasha, you bought drums, you got Phase, that's 3 inventory spots. You got Bottle, that's 4. So when you get to later stages in the game, if you don't have BKB, you're also going to need MKB.